Xiao good afternoon, greetings from Your Access China, and welcome to the joint China, Japan, and Korea MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship webinar. We have joined forces to bring to you an expert explanation of the fellowships and three insightful personal reflections and experience sharing from fellows who have made their journey from China, Japan, and Korea to Europe for a fellowship related to MSCA. Welcome.
Thank you for the introduction. That was Carlos Vagpelnis from Your Access China. I'm Judith Erika Magyar at Your Access Japan, and my colleague Tomasz Wierzbowski will join us from Your Access Korea in a few minutes. So this webinar is to introduce Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions postdoctoral fellowships, mobility schemes, and we'll have expert speakers from all our countries. A very warm welcome, and I'll give the floor to my colleague in Korea. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Tomasz. I am based in Seoul, South Korea. I represent Your Access together with my colleagues in Beijing and Tokyo, and it is my great pleasure to have three distinguished fellows and an expert.
Thank you, Tomasz. I would like to invite our expert speaker, Shema Saimlar, who has been working as an MSCA National Contact Point and as the Your Access National Coordinator for Turkey for over 5 years. She studied industrial engineering and has started her MBA. She loves to help others, researchers, pursue their career advancement, and she will share her presentation about MSCA postdoctoral fellowships, opportunities for international mobility today. Shema, the floor is yours.
I am an NCP for MSCA from Turkey, and I'm working for my agency for over 7 years as an NCP. And I would also like to welcome you all to this lovely event. I really love these kinds of events because, you know, as NCPs in Europe and associated countries, our actual target is the researchers from outside, either from our country and either from out of Europe. So it is really a good means to reach you, dear researchers. So I hope you will enjoy and benefit from this event. Let me tell you a little bit about what is Horizon Europe. It is run by European Commission, and it is the biggest actually scientific foundation in the world. There is a lot of different areas where European Commission gives many different funds, and Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions is one of them. Every 7 or 8 years, this program is renewed, and MSCA was a part of it from the beginning under different names. And as you can see here, it is under Excellent Science pillar, which focused on the researchers directly. And for this program, MSCA has 6.6 billion euros for different funding schemes. So MSCA's main target, as you can see here, is the equipping researchers with new knowledge and skills through mobility and training. So mobility is the center of MSCA, we can say. So what is postdoctoral fellowship? It is actually, you can say by the name, it is for the PhD holders who would like to just run their personalized projects, postdoctoral projects through mobility. So mostly it is focused on employability and career prospects. And we also can see the interdisciplinarity and intersectoral experience is also one of the essence of these projects. Who can participate? Actually, there is a very limited eligibility criteria on the nationality. But if you would like to apply to postdoctoral fellowship, you should involve one of these countries, as you can see on the screen. either one of the member states or associated countries, which Turkey is one of them. And also Switzerland now is one of the associated countries as UK. So you can choose one of these countries if you would like to apply for postdoctoral fellowship. For this year's budget, as you can see, it is 274 million euros, and it will be open on 8th of May and closed on 10th of September. Postdoctoral fellowship is open each year within the same time limits. It's generally around April to September. This year it was postponed to May. But it's always closed on September if there is nothing critical is happening. And mostly its focus is on to enhance researchers' career and just spread around the mobility throughout the Europe and globally. It is a mono-beneficiary call, which means one researcher should just deal with one host organization and also choose one supervisor from that organization. So this is the basic structure of the project. The organization is the coordinator for the project, but it is actually the researchers. Okay, the organization is coordinating, but it mostly just depends on researchers' activities. And there's two types of panels, which is European and global fellowships. I will be telling more about these things. And host organizations must be in Europe, EU countries or associated countries. And one of the also best things about postdoctoral fellowship that you can apply in all research domains. And you can be from any national. When we have a closed book to European and global fellowships, within the European fellowship, you must choose one host institution from EU member states or associated countries, and you can be coming from all over the world. If you would like to go with the global fellowship, there will be two different institutions involved. First, you can choose one institution in a country other than European Union or associated countries, which can be also like Japan, China, or Korea. Then you have to come back to European countries or associated countries. So there will be two different institutions involved in these applications. To apply to global fellowship, there's one eligibility criteria about the nationality. It is actually open mostly to European country nationalities, or you must have been resided or worked in one of the European countries or associated countries for over than 5 years. As you can see here from the results, postdoctoral fellowship is actually a very, very popular program. So each year there is more and more applications coming. So it is most competitive programs ever. And mostly success rates are around 15% or so. What are the key points about postdoctoral fellowship? Only for postdoctoral researchers, but now we also have another eligibility criteria. If you have hold your PhD and then more than 8 years of research experience, which is a bit complicated, but I will be telling more about this. You cannot apply. So you have to have less than 8 years of research experience. And it has to be a mobility scheme, which means if you would like to apply to a country, you must not have resided or worked there over than 1 year in last 3 years. Like if you are in that country more than 12 months in last 3 years, you cannot apply to the same country. It's mostly training career development, and there are very interesting different possibilities you can use, like secondments and non-academic placements, which means that you will have one host country, a host organization, but you can have other institutions involved into your projects within some specific time limits. So you can also use these very nice opportunities within your projects. And for the duration, as you can see, if you would like to write a European fellowship, it can be minimum of 12 months and maximum 24 months. And for the global fellowship, we will have 12 to 24 months for outgoing phase, and then as a fixed incoming, there will be plus 12 months. So it will be maximum of 36 months. And if you would consider to add a non-academic placement to your project, you can also add 6 more months to your project. We talked about the doctoral degrees, which means until the call deadline, you have to either hold your PhD diploma, or you must have successfully defended your doctoral thesis and passed through. So if you have either two of them, you can apply to the projects. And no more than 8 years of research experience from a PhD board. And also, as I mentioned before, you must not have resided or carried your main activity in one country if you would like to apply for more than 12 months. So let's see. If you are a Korean researcher awarded a PhD in 27, and you were a resident there, and then you would like to apply for European fellowship to Denmark. It means that you are totally eligible because it will just comply with the mobility eligibility, and also you will have your PhD and no more than 8 years. But let's see, if you are a Japanese researcher living in Denmark for the previous 3 years, but you would like to apply for a global fellowship, it doesn't comply with the nationality eligibility, because if you are from an outside of European countries, you will have to have like at least 5 years of residency in one of the EU or AC countries. And when we come to maximum 8 years of research experience, it means that after you get your PhD, if you have one of these conditions, you can just delete them from these 8 years calculation. For example, if you have a kid like with the maternity or paternity leave, for mothers, it is a fixed 18 months is applied. If you have more than 18 months, you can also just indicate that and get those kind of releases or a paternity leave. And if you ever have a career break that you didn't work, or if you had a national service, or for example, you worked in some place, but you were in a managerial position or out of research positions, or let's say you are in academia, and in academia you will have some percentage of teaching activities. So it means that you can just delete that percentage from your time spent in that university. And if you have some kind of you can also delete it from 8 years of research experience. So let's talk a little bit about secondments and non-academic placements. Secondments are really very good opportunities because during your project, you can just add a secondment from anywhere in the world and from into the any time in your project. It can be in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end, and it can be from any kind of institution. Just there is one rule about it. It cannot be more than third of your project duration. For example, if you have a 24-month of project, it can be maximum 8 months segments. And you can divide your segments to different times and to different institutions. And to give you an example, for example, you are working, let's say, about a medicine in a university, and you can easily add a hospital or a laboratory to your project. Let's say you are trying to develop a drug, so you can just make tests in a hospital for a couple of months, or then you can just go to a laboratory to work on the drug, and etc. This is a very nice opportunity. And for non-academic placement, it is a little bit different than secondments. First, it should be added to the end of the project, and as it is named, it can not be in an academic place. It has to be a non-academic placement. Its main purpose is just to connect academia and non-academic institutions together in the research. And it can be any kind of non-academic placement, as I can say. It can be a hospital or a laboratory or some NGO, some museum. It can be anything, of course, starting with the private companies. Let's see about 25 call information. As I said, the budget will be 274 million euros, and it will be open at 8th of May and will be closed on 10th of September. And with the evaluation process, I will be telling more about that later. Minimum of 3 experts, independent experts, are peer review your projects. It is mostly an independent process. And it is a bottom-up program, so there are a lot of different kind of experts who are evaluating these projects from all kind of disciplines. You are just adding to your project like minimum 3 of keywords, and it's better to be very specific about these keywords. So relevant experts from that disciplines are just looking to your project. And even though it is a bottom-up approach with no area restriction, there are 8 scientific panels to be reviewed altogether. So it means like if you have a project from chemistry, they are all together in the same panel, just reviewed. So 8 different panels like chemistry, economy, engineering, environment, life science, mathematics, physics, and social science. I can just skip that. Just I will tell if you have more than 85 points to your project, it means you will have a seal of excellence. But it's not enough to be funded. Actually, as I said, it is a very, very competitive program. So you will have to get like more than maybe 95 points to be funded. There are three main topics in your project proposal template called excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of the implementation. You can see the subtopics here. I will go a little bit faster in this session because it's nearly half an hour. So this is the part B, B2, B1, and we have part A, application forms. It is filled through the system, and we also have part B2. In each year, as NCPs, we are preparing how to submit your MSCA proposal. So you can check when the call is open, you can check our documents. Okay, let's come to the best part of these projects. As you can see here, MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship has very good budgets, especially for the researcher. There's two types of budget here. First is for the researcher, directly funding. This living allowance is your actual salary for each month, but it is just down to each country has a different country correction coefficient, so you have to calculate this number with the CCC, but mobility allowance is given fixedly, and if you have a child or if you are married, you're also receiving family allowance. And for the research budget, as you can see here, each month you have 1,000 euros for your project, and as the management budget, there is 650 euros. This management budget can be used for anything. It is very flexible. It's not reported. Also, your research training network budget is also very flexible to spend. It doesn't mean that you have to spend 1,000 euros for each month. No, you can just spend it however you wish. Just be in control with your project's outcomes. As you can see here, the common errors, mostly it is the missing deadline, of course, and not respecting eligibility requirements. There is 10-page limits for your B1, the actual research project part. So you have not exceed 10 pages here. And sometimes seconds and non-academic placements can be confusing. And sometimes, yes, using too small font because 10 pages is challenging. Actually, for researchers, we mostly know our clients. They are really very eager to write a lot of things in the project, but you have to see these projects as not academic papers, but mostly selling your ideas and your CV in the project. So just looking at the project like this would help you, the perspective. And one more thing, we have a fellowship called ERA, and it is mostly to just encourage widening countries more to apply to these projects. If you are just applying to a widening country, Turkey is one of the widening countries, you can have a spare budget. For example, just everyone is funded and you are in the reserve list, then you can have an opportunity to be funded from ERA Fellowship. So in Turkey, we are working with 3 beloved ladies, as you can see here. If you ever consider just applying to Turkey, you can just reach one of us. So we will be mostly helpful with anything in mind. And just talk a little bit about our very, very useful documents. If you would like to apply, the first document you should go through is, of course, work program and guide for applicants from the European Commission. But these handbooks are very, very helpful. Just it includes each detailed or information what you should write in those projects. And I will tell shortly about TÜBİTAK support to the researchers who would like to come here with the project as the host institution. We have many different support programs, as you can see here. For example, if you would like to apply with any kind of project in Horizon Europe and to be the coordinator in Turkey, if you choose to be coordinator, you can use coordinator support. And we have travel support. And we have Marie Curie pre-evaluation support. If you just have a host institution in Turkey, you can just write your project, and there are very nice experts outside that you can use. Just they are previewing your project and then giving you feedbacks about your project. And we are paying this amount as TÜBİTAK to your project. So this is a very nice opportunity to use if you ever consider to choose Turkey as your host institution. Okay, thank you for listening to me. I'm happy that I finished in my timeline.
Thank you for sharing us the most important details of how to apply for the MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship.
Yes, so the next speaker will be from China. I want to emphasize that the benefits of the MSCA Fellowship do not end at the end date of your fellowship. As an alum, you become a member of the Alumni Association, and that association is located throughout the world in national chapters. And today we have a speaker from the China chapter of the MSCA Alumni Association. Dr. Xuyan Chen is a board member of the MSCA Alumni Association China chapter. She is currently associated with the China Academy of Sciences and did her MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship in Germany. Chen Laoshi, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to give a presentation here, and I'm pleased to share my experience on application for the MSCA program. My presentation is about the self-introduction and the brief MSCA program. Then I will focus on my experience on how to write a proposal. I was a EU molecular scholar for the PF program, Postdoctoral Fellow, and my MSc host institute is IMDEA Materials Institute in Spain. I applied for the MSCA program from Germany in Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. And now I work in Chinese Academy of Science. Yeah, just mentioned before, I was a postdoctoral fellowship PF program. And my track is the information science and engineering track. Now I will focus on the part B1 for how to write a successfully proposal. We all know there are two parts for the application proposal, part A and part B. For part B, there are part B1 and part B2. Part B2 is about the CV and the letter of commitment. Now I will focus on part B1 for the excellence, impact, and implementation for the MSCA proposal. Then for part B1, I think there are several keywords. For example, for the self-strength is about your research experience and your academic achievements, such as the published articles. And then the most important is the proposal quality. How you how to write the innovation impact and the assistance to the applicants is quite important. Then the host support will be extremely helpful. In my for my application process, my host gave me a lot of help and guidance. Then for the institute, for the host institute, the officer, they will give us a lot of guidance for the format on the application process. Then the support from colleagues or friends around you is also very helpful. We can look for some colleagues and friends who have already obtained the molecular scholarship program, and we can ask for their proposal to learn how they write a successful proposal. Then the main steps for applying as a molecular scholar, I think maybe included to find a suitable host is the first step. Then we can discuss the direction of the proposal with our host. The most important is we should match each other. How we can bring to the host, then what the host can transfer to us. So we can we should match. Match is important. Then we write the draft of the proposal. After the draft, the proposal completed, we can review and modify the proposal together with the host, then again and again. Not only the content, but also the format, the tables and figures are also very important. Then after the proposal completed, we can fill out the online system from the online portal. Then submission. Now is the details for the schedule. Usually, we should prepare the proposal 4 or 5 months in advance before the submission deadline. For example, usually the submission deadline is in September, so we should prepare in May or June. Yeah. Then we should look for a suitable host. Just as I mentioned before, match is important. Then if the key point, yes, I think if the cooperating host institute and the professor have strong capabilities, the success rate is really higher. So it's better to look for a host institute who has the successful MSCA programs before. And it's better not to contact multiple professors at the same time. If the first intended professor disagrees, then contact the next one as soon as possible. I think it's better to contact the one once. Then for the schedule is determining the direction of the proposal. It's also recommended to complete this work 3 to 4 months before the deadline. For this year, this session is better to be completed before middle June or early July. During this period, is recommended to communicate and consult with the professor, the host institute, again and again. Then write the proposal draft. This session is the most important and the most difficult, especially for the session part B1. For the part B1 and part B2 templates from the system, we should download the official documents from the online system. Then request the professor, the host institute to check and modify our proposals. They will help check the entire B1 and B2 sessions. Then the deadline for checking proposals is different for different host units. From my side, for my experience, my host institutes, the deadline for my host institute is in by the end of August.
And Laosha, you've got 1 minute to go.
Okay. Then prepare the online the part B1 through online portal. Then submit. Here is the evaluation career. Here is my research proposal for part B1. We should use some figures and grant tables. Then part B1 for the reference and guidance. Here is the excellence impact on to the quality for part B1. And if you are not selected as the relevant track, here are some alternative choice for some countries. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Chanlasha.
Again, thank you for the extensive explanation of your personal experience. We are always happy to hear about, how people submit successful applications. And these personal experiences also contribute to the future success of other researchers. They can find best practice examples, ideas, and inspiration. Our next speaker, Tomoko Asaoka. And I would like to welcome her as the Scientific Director of Newton Biocapital. The title of her presentation is Navigating the MSCA Postdoc Fellowships Application, Accelerating Global Career Opportunities. And she has a background in molecular biology, as you will hear, with a focus on inflammatory research. And in 2018, she was awarded the MSCA-PF. So let's hear about her experience.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would like to just highlight first that my application was done 8 years ago. So at times this might sound like a history class, but here we go. So just a little bit about my background. I'm from Japan originally. I did my undergraduate in the UK and my PhD in Finland. My first postdoc in Austria, and so I've been in Europe for a number of years before I moved to Belgium, and this is where I received my Marie Curie Fellowship. So just this is a picture of Ghent, where the institute was located, and the research institute I joined was called VIB. So what I did in terms of the timelines, after I moved to VIB, I applied for Marie Curie. So it was within first year I moved there. And one of the key elements from my successful application was really the support I received from the institute. as well as a supervisor. And I will expand on that a little bit more, but just to really highlight, VIB has excellent support in grant writing. And I had a lot of input on my abstract and also acronym. And they also gave me a contact for the historical recipients of the grants, and who were willing to share their application, their application documents. So that was very helpful for me. And in the VIB Institute, I worked to establish a mouse disease model that can mimic human disease in the autoimmune sector. And this INFLA-8 was my acronym. I just wanted to point out because this looks very simple and straightforward, but it actually took me many I wouldn't say hours, but it took effort to come up with this title, acronym, abstract. So that's something I would recommend that you really get your input from other people. During the Marie Curie Fellowship, two key advantages I felt by having this grant was first, it was the first time in my research career that I felt independent. So when I received my Marie Curie grant, at the same time, my supervisor announced that he would leave academia completely. And so I thought, oh no, contacted my grant officer. And the only question they asked was, will I be able to execute my proposal? And when I said yes, they said, okay, there's no problem. We will just change names of the supervisor and then you continue. So I had a very smooth start of my postdoc, despite the changes that was happening in the lab. Another thing that I was very grateful for was that during your postdoc, it's also around the same time, you're going to have some personal changes. For me, I had 2 children during my INFLA-8 project. We also had COVID. So there were a lot of disruptions in the 2 years period that I had the proposal for, sorry. But the grant officers, they were very supportive, very understanding. So I could overcome the personal issues without really impacting any of my work, which was really, really helpful. And one thing about before you apply, I thought, okay, this grant is great, but then it's only 2 years, which is, I didn't think would be long enough, and it was not for me. But one thing that's really amazing about Marie Curie Fellowship, and please take this as a pinch of salt because my story is a little bit old, but when you receive Marie Curie Fellowship, and if you can successfully complete it, the likelihood of you receiving another grant from national or regional to complete your project is very high. And this is what happened also with me. I had a very generous postdoc fellowship straight after my Marie Curie Fellowship that I will be, so I was able to complete the project without any disruption. And just maybe to highlight, this is not only for VIB or Marie Curie Fellowship, but to highlight the opportunity that you have in Europe. Very often, I think when you think about research, immediately people have a default reflex to go to the US. But Europe also offers great opportunities. So for me, what happened after Marie Curie Fellowship is that through my research institute at VIB, I was introduced to a venture capital firm where they were looking for a scientist who can read animal data and speak Japanese. So I switched my career completely to a finance sector now. I work as a venture capitalist, and now I support startup companies in Belgium, in Japan, and also in France. Additionally, I am now back in school. So I'm a part-time student at the business school. And this is really, yeah, your opportunities are great in Europe. So I would definitely recommend doing your fellowship here. So just for me, a takeaway message is really prepare your application and be very resourceful. So you've already attended the info session, so this is great. I recommend you that as soon as possible, you contact the national contact points. Read your application instructions very carefully. I know the document is long and it's quite painful, but do it because it's really, really important. Also, I highly recommend contacting your host institute and supervisor. They've seen what it is. Marie Curie Fellowship is everybody knows what it is. And you definitely should get in touch with them. And just one thing I would like to highlight, do it as soon as possible because in Europe, people take summer holidays seriously. So July, August, things could get a bit slow. Make sure you do it before June. And it's also not only for the application, the contact you build and the network you have, it's going to be phenomenal when you come here with or without Marie Curie. So I recommend that. And also ask these people to get you in touch with a previous recipient from that particular institute. And lastly, I would like to just say, this is a recurring, I think, for all of us, but do follow the application format. This is the part where you should not be unique to differentiate yourself from everybody else. The only win-win situation is if you just really read the instruction and stick to the format that they ask you to do it in. And I was going to extend my experience in the Seal of Excellence. This is also an amazing opportunity, but I think the next speaker will be able to extend this much better than I can. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tomoko. That was very informative, very precise. And I think we are all happy to hear about your experience. As you said, the next speaker will introduce the Seal of Excellence in length.
And the next speaker is Dr. Joo-Hyun Park, who received his PhD from Seoul National University, and his major was in mechanical engineering. While being in Istituto Italiano di Tecnologia, he received the briefly mentioned before Seal of Excellence from Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions Postdoctoral Fellowship call, and he will briefly introduce us and guide to applying for Marie Skłodowska-Curie Doctoral Fellowship. Dr. Park, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Joo-Hyun Park, and I received my PhD in Seoul National University in Korea, and my major was material science, basically material science, but I go on to mechanical engineering in my PhD period. I experienced a lot of processing and manufacturing technology, such as like pollution process and vacuum deposition process, and secondly, I work on the electrical characterization of the semiconductor devices in my PhD thesis. So I think previous speakers and previous presenters well explained about motivation and how to apply the Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship. I will going to just giving a brief detail and brief my personal experience on Marie Curie fellowship application. Yes, I applied the Marie Curie Fellowship in last year, like 2024. I'm quite fresh and new postdoc who applied for the Marie Curie last year. And when you think about the Marie Curie, I can say the financial support getting from Marie Curie is definitely a very big benefit from the European Commission, which can cover the high living costs in France or Italy or Germany. You can live. You can live your personal life except your research career, and also the good point of in the point of career you can get very fancy one line of career in your resume. And also good the benefits of a marketing is you can do your independent research regardless of PI, as our previous presenter Tomoka Asaoka testimonied. And lastly, you can do some fundamental research that you wanted to do in the past. So if it's accepted as a creative proposal, you can focus on your study, what you want to do. So I think it is definitely a benefit of the market proposal. And in market proposal, you can get information from core information from the website. It will be, I think, hopefully it will be released in May. And there's a hosting institution that you apply, and you need a hosting principal investigator and hosting country. And sometimes you can add the affiliated institution in your proposal. But before applying, you have to check the mobility rule that already mentioned by my previous presenter, which is you should not live in the hosting country more than 1 year before you apply when you are applying the marquee proposal. So that's the really important point that you have to check before applying it. So I think we already go through this part very detailed from our presenter, Dr. Chen. So we consider part A with the general information that about your proposal, and part B is about your how excellent is your proposal and why we have to do that. Why is it different from other research, and why we what is the focus, and what is the impact of your research to the society and research academia. And also you have to suggest the concrete plans to how you can achieve these academic goals in your proposal. So this is very important point for your proposal. And definitely in part B2, you have to write the CV and some additional information, such as like safety information of your research project and ethic information. So this is how you can write the proposal. And the tips for the writing a proposal, the most important 3 things is logical development of your proposal, and the integrity of the proposal. So I wrote my proposal for I think 7 or 8 months with my PI, and most important thing is you have to write the draft as soon as possible and give your PI to check if it's eligible or it's a feasible plan for the institution and as well as you. And you have to have the creativeness and excellence in your research and also in your career. So that's the point that European Commissions are working on you. And thirdly, it should be very realistic plan, and it should suggest the vision. So you should you should give a clear deliverables and milestones and concrete plans to how you can implement your research project. So in my case, I studied meta-halide perovskite in my PhD period. So I was specialized on device characterization, device fabrication and characterization. And also I have some techniques. I know I have some special techniques to make the evaporated meta-halide perovskite in this field. So I was the most important thing. You and your PI have to get something from this partnership. So we call it a transferable knowledge. So my PI had a specialty in optical analysis, such as pump prof techniques based on the femtosecond laser. So I made the device, I made a characterization, and in this group, they helped me to how to analyze and make a more reasonable explanation of my optical studies. So we could exchange our knowledge by doing this research project. So this was a very important point you have to address in your proposal. And second is you have to give a clear implementation plan. So I suggested with a Gantt chart, so to show the to suggest the readability and more details and feasibility of my research proposal. And also you can suggest as well affiliated institution. In my case was the University of Oxford, and as well as your hosting institution. In my case, it was Istituto Italiano di Tecnologia. So, I'm doing a postdoctoral researcher in IIT, and apart from the research, life in Italy is pretty, full of culture and historical place and very beautiful nature and good quality of life compared to, let's say to Asia. Yes, and there are a lot of Italian food and cuisines that you can enjoy. So I'm enjoying my my research and also my personal life in Italy and Europe. So most important checking point is this: like you have to find your hosting institution, and you have to check the mobility rule and check the deadline of proposal, and you can check the official guideline from the website. So you have to keep in track on what they notice on the website. And my final advice is write the draft as soon as possible and just give it to your PI or your colleague to check whether it makes sense or how you can improve. So that was my final advice. And thank you for listening my presentation, everyone. Yes.
Thank you very much, Junhyun, for your for sharing your experience with us. It was very helpful and insightful, and I hope you can stay with us for the Q&A.
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. There are some questions already in Q&A section.
Let me just read the first one, even those that are answered. Okay, so the first one to Shema. Thank you for this webinar. This is really helpful. I have a question about eligibility for postdoctoral fellowships in case that I will have my dissertation approved before the deadline of application and my defense scheduled, but will not have my defense taking place before that, 10th of September. Will I still be eligible for this goal? So Shema, this question is addressed.
Okay, so for this question, unfortunately, no. You will have to defend your thesis right before the deadline, but you can always apply for next year's. This call is open for each year, so just don't give up. Try for 2026. Can I read the questions and answer them fastly, Judith, so that we can? Okay. You cannot submit with two proposals within the same poll year, unfortunately. You will have to just pick one host organization as one researcher and apply for one project. If you get pregnant during your projects, okay, MSCA is very careful about your career perspectives within each environment, not only on the research base, but on also your environment. So your host institution has to give you the opportunity to take a leave and paid leave within their, of course, like regulations in this institution. So it is very important to be careful on these things in MSCA projects. How to calculate your 8 years research experience? There is an Excel file that the European Commission each year they produce this, and you can just use this Excel and enter everything there. The exceptions I talked about and the other things. So you can just calculate from this Excel. It is the best way to do it. You're an Italian working in China. It doesn't matter if you have the nationality from an EU country. You can directly apply for global fellowships, so it is possible. Could you please recommend professors in social science? I guess you are asking professors in Turkey. Just contact with us through our email address, and we will be very happy to help you to find a host institution. I will text my email address to the chat box for everyone to see. So you can just easily contact me for any kind of question. Let's see. Okay. Dear Shema, I would like to, I'm awarded MSCA Fellowship. What is the latest possible starting date? It is a very good question. Actually, MSCA can take hours to tell, but I only had 30 minutes, so I have to be quick. Just skip some details. When after the call deadline, it takes 5 months to publish the results. And after the 5 months, if you get funded, then there is 3 months for your grant agreement phase. So it takes like 8 months after the call deadline, the first starting date of the project. In this first starting date, you can postpone your starting date to a 1 year. So it like from the September, you can just think that you can start at last 20 months later, I guess, yes. You are a PhD student from China, currently based in Germany. Okay, I already read this question. If you are eligible until the deadline, then it doesn't matter that you start in Germany after the deadline. You will be eligible to apply because you already applied until that date. So if you will be stayed in Germany until the deadline, less than 12 months, you can easily just apply it. Then you can start in Germany. It doesn't matter. It doesn't relate it with the project eligibility. Theoretical research on AI be welcomed for MSCA. Any topic is welcomed. Just be careful. First, you have to be providing something new to the research area, European research area, and you should be indicating that in your projects. First, you have to just tell about the state of the art, and then tell what are you doing, what are you adding to this state of art. This is very important. It doesn't matter if it's theoretical or not. Then the second topic was, as you can remember, impact. Impact is also very important. But impact can be considered in very different aspects, not only economical, but it can be just your perspective should be wide to see the impact. So I think we cannot say no to this question. Should we include a financial budget outlining overhead? No, this is a fixed cost based project. I showed you the fixed cost. The calculation is automatic. So these costs are for each month. So if your project is 12 months, it's multiplied by 12 months or 24. Just you will multiply it to your project duration. This is how you calculate the budget.
I would just like to point out, and it's visible in the chat, that if you're looking for an MSCA position in sorry, I can't really see, in VIB in Belgium, the host of the previous speaker, yes, Tomoko, I think they refer to you.
Yes.
So they most of their labs are accepting MSCA applicants. So we would like to check the topic and the lab interest and so forth. Tomoko, would you like?
Yes, expand on that? So we had a lot of questions about how to reach out to the host. So maybe just a quick example of how I did. So for my PhD, I went to my university and asked some of the professors do you know anybody? And they recommended me a few people, and I contacted them and had an interview, and I picked one. For my first postdoc, I was at a conference, and I knew I was going to defend my PhD. So I went to a conference, international conference in the US, and I said a few people, look, I'm looking for postdoc positions. Do you know anybody? Are you looking for somebody? Of course, it's to PIs that I have a respect for in terms of their research. I knew the PIs from the publications. I went to them and said, I'm looking for a postdoc place. Do you know somebody? And this is how I got my first postdoc. Somebody recommended me a position somebody recommended me to another PI, and she was actually not posting her open position, but she was looking. So that's how I got mine. And then the last one, it was more for personal choice. I was already in a relationship, and when I thought, okay, I want to do my second postdoc, my boyfriend at the time, he said, I can move to Belgium or Switzerland. So then I already immediately also knew that in Belgium, I had somebody in mind that I wanted to speak to. So I contacted him, and this is how I received my position. So what I recommend is you already know your research field. So, and you probably already have some feeling of what kind of research you like, what kind of research topics. Go directly to their website, because they usually find contact details, email address of a supervisor, or even in the publications. Usually, if they're a contact person in the published articles, they have an email address there. So go and write to them and say why you are interested in that particular research, and why and that your intention is to apply for Marie Curie with them. That's very important. For example, also I read that there are research institutes who said, yes, we are open for Marie Curie students. Make sure you can contact them, but don't send them a generic email. You target already 1 or 2 maximum research labs, why you want to go, and then ask for introduction. I think that would be the way to go. You can be very direct. You should go directly to the people. And it's the same with the grant office. Sorry, I'll finish soon. There you might have a general contact address that you can write to. Otherwise, just ask your potential supervisor who else you can get in touch with to help you with a Marie Curie fellowship. It's a heavy process. I can tell you, it's a very heavy process. So make sure you start early. You get as much contact as possible, so you get different feedbacks. And yeah, you have time until September, but it will also come very quickly. So make sure you establish these contacts early on. And just one thing about the pregnancy, what happened with me was during the Marie Curie fellowship, I had the regular maternity leave, which was 4 months in Belgium. Some places a bit shorter, other countries are longer. So it really is a standard leave. If it's a maternity leave, sick leave, anything, it's usually standard of what the country offers. So then at the time you start your leave till the end, you'll get the extension. In my case, I got the extension. And during this extension, you don't get the nice Marie Curie grant, but you will be on a social security or health insurance that you will be covered for just like every other working mom in that country. You will have the same rights. So yeah, don't worry if you need to take a leave, if it's for your health or other reasons. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Thank you for the explanation. Can you just give me one second, please?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that we get many queries about how to contact institutions and professors and so forth. Many of these famous institutions and professors receive lots of emails. So if you actually show that you're familiar with their research, that your research directly addresses their field, their expertise, their interests, you have a much higher chance. make sure that you have a glossary at the top of your email or in the subject. Be very specific, as Tomoko mentioned. Just remember that reaching out with an email saying, I'm interested in working with you, is not going to cut it. You have to be super specific, provide a CV, provide information. And Shema, if you would like to add something, I would also like to ask Junhyung what your experience, in this respect is. So if you could also answer in a few words after Shema. Thank you.
Thank you, Tomoko. It was very nice answer. I will just mention a little bit about our experience as NCPs. Some of our clients had problem because, as Tomoko said, you have to be very precise what you want from the institution, and you have to be clear on every aspect if you do not directly know the supervisor. Because sometimes they are very interested. We just have a similar case. They got the funding, and then supervisor was like, okay, this lady wanted to start a little bit later, but he was like, no, we have to start now. And they were very confused. Then it was on the edge of dropping the project. And it was very sorry case for her because she worked a lot on the project, then got funded and made all the plans. Then it was, a catastrophe. So just the best way is just to use your network, because most researchers have networks outside their country. Then they can just reach, their network's network. This is the best way. But it is always possible to use any kind of institution. Just be very clear and very specific about what you will do together, when you will start, and what are the things, their duties and your duties and everything. It should be clear. And continue.
Thank you. Junhyung?
Yeah, okay. In my case, I can share my personal experience. Like, to get the postdoctoral position or to contact the PI, I agree with Dr. Asaoka said. Like, I concentrate on like few research group that have a correlation with my study. So I could easily got answer from PI because they already know about my studies, and they know what I can provide to them. So actually, in my case, I met my PI in conference. Yeah, I just directly meet my PI and just go to them. Don't worry about like anything else. Just go and ask. You are interested in my project, but in my case, I was lucky because she already had funding for the postdoctoral fellow. But definitely, if you got accepted as a marketing fellow, you will be accepted with the PI. But you have to persuade the PI. Your proposal is should be very persuadable to PI. So you need to suggest a very concrete and very fascinating plans for the market proposal. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the contribution and additional information. And we'll proceed with the Shema's answer in the Q&A.
Is it beneficial to include a second-month short stay or non-academic placement? Would it be improved competitiveness? Well, okay, I wouldn't say yes or no to that if it is relevant, because there is a lot of applications, so it is really hard to just come original from that. But if you have a harmony in your project with your second months or non-academic placements, with your topic and outcomes and everything, I think we can say it would be beneficial. But sometimes experts might think that you just put some, second month there not that necessary, maybe. Sometimes it's so obvious that you put that just to be there. So don't do that. But if it's relevant and it has a good harmony, then I would say that it can be useful. Maybe our researchers might answer to that as well if they had any experience on secondments or non-academic placements.
I think, of course, it helps to have a publication. Mine was not very, my CV wasn't like superstar CV when I applied for my Marie Curie. I think what you have done is important, but also what you're going to do in your host institute is really weighed in. So if your host, why you want to go to that particular host institute, to that particular supervisor to be able to conduct your research, I think that's the most important part. Yeah, but of course, if you have publications, your score will be higher. And also, it's not only you, but it's also your host. Your supervisor is also judged on this, so make sure that he or she also have a good publications. I think that will help.
Yes, true, definitely.
Okay, and we have 4 minutes left.
4 minutes,
so
yes.
it will have to
Let's
be,
go very fast.
We have 7 questions, so that means basically half a minute per question. There you go.
Okay, I will go very fast. What if you get the grant but cannot get the visa? Yes, it is possible. It happened before. So just try to plan beforehand. Just apply for the visa. If you get a denial, then you can just go for the other means. But mostly your host institutions are helpful with the applications. So just ask for their help, and for the Euro Access centers, of course, this is their main job, actually. I'm planning to apply for a PhD project. Is it the limitation of 4 years after graduation with master degree? Okay. In this program, you cannot apply for a PhD. This is only for postdoctoral research. I have a question regarding the success rate of MSc applications. If my major is engineering, and there are more specific fields such as mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, does not many candidates only compete? No. Just you will be competing with every engineering project ever. For the maximum 6 months placement outside academia, does it mean for an EU MSCA-PF with 20%? Okay, postdoc. They can include additional 6 months, yes. Adding up to the total 30 months, yes. Non-academic placement is just adding up to your project duration. I'm wondering whether you can share experience about research proposal, and is it possible to apply for it without publication?
When you're contacting host institute or the supervisor that you're interested in the research, you don't necessarily need a grant proposal already in place. You can always say, I was interested in that particular publication. Are you still continuing on the project? If so, is there something I can do? These are my skills. That's also possible. So be specific, but you don't need to have your own grant application already when you're contacting your potential supervisor. It's not only for the research for the fellowship, but it's in general for searching for your postdoc positions.
Yes. Okay, last 2 questions. You graduated in 20, but you are working outside of research area. Okay. One thing, if you ever published something, it means that you are researching. But you can just calculate, for example, you are working for a non-research institution, so it counts as 0, yes. But if you have publications during this time, you can just add some time for your this paper preparation and everything. So I think you can be eligible to apply. And last question, the research fund of the project is monthly. Yes. Is there other fund for research, like buying devices? Actually, okay, this is a good question. This 1,000 monthly, as I mentioned, it's not spent like each month. 1,000 euros. You can just spend it in bulk or separately. But as you can see, for a 24-month of project, you will only have 24,000 euros. So it means that you can not buy big devices or machinery or something else. You can just spend this money to attend conference, organize networking, buying some software, hardware, publishing, and maybe some little equipment, not expensive. Maybe our researchers, Junyoung Tomoko, can answer that more precisely, how they spend their research money.
I negotiated a lot, so I try to go to as many conferences as I can. So it was in life science. I was in life science, and 1,000 per month is, I wouldn't say it's a pocket money, but it's not, when you do animal testing, then it's not a lot. So I think I asked my supervisor, really trying to get my personal skills improved. So conferences was where and workshops is what I spent my money almost.
Great. Okay, I will add one more thing before finishing. I know the time is up, but maybe they would like to hear it. As you can see, this is a Euraccess event. So it is important to use Euraccess. There are many different like published hosting offers in Euraccess. Just check them if you are looking for one host. Of course, it is not only dedicated to Euraccess. You can apply with any kind of institution, but Euraccess is a good mean because it means that whoever published it, they are welcoming you, and they know what is postdoctoral fellowship. They know all the phases and everything. Then they will help you. This is very important. But PF is really very competitive. So you can also search in Euraccess for other kind of hosting or funding offers. For example, in MSCA, there are doctoral networks for PhD. And also there are co-funds where you can find some announcement for postdoctoral fellowship and also doctoral research. So just use Euraccess as much as you can. You can filter everything to your project area and the country. Also, co-funds are very helpful because they are not that competitive. They are nationally, how to say, competitive. So you can use also co-funds. For example, now in Turkey, we have a co-fund that that we will have 100 students, like postdoctoral researchers to Turkey. So it will not that competitive as postdoctoral fellowship. So Euraccess is a very good tool to use for researchers. So this will be my final. Thank you for everything, my colleagues.
Thank you so much. And I have quickly posted 2 links. One of them is the Horizon Europe dashboard that you can look at for past projects, and also the Euraccess jobs and funding portal that we've been referring to. You might like to check both of them out for further information and ideas on how to submit a successful application. Let me say a huge thank you to our speakers for dedicating their time to this webinar, and also our attendees for sticking with us for so long. And I would like to ask all of you to follow us on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and have a look at our portals, Euraccess, China, Japan, and Korea. Thank you again, all of you, and huge gratitude. Thank you.
It's a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon again.